Hi, I'm back to making time lapses. I already have a bunch of videos edited using it for the voiceover, but I either get busy, forget, or just keep procrastinating because I don't really want to record myself talking in English. Anyways, it's been a while since I don't see these recordings, so let's see if I even remember what I did. Oh, okay, yeah. First thing I did was copy-paste the original drawing into my file. It's the same thing I did for the this one. I redrew it so I could have something workable and also so it can be in my style. I had to move Popter to the side there so I didn't erase Sprout's arm on accident, cause I'm still working on a single layer right now, even when I already have a layer designated to each character. This layer is basically my thumbnail, where I'm figuring out the main poses, one where they are just standing there, and the second what is basically the last frame with one sitting over them. So those are my keyframes with my main poses, the easy part. Then it's just a matter of figuring out what happens between those two frames. That is the hard part. I started with one's movement since he's the hardest one to do, no pun intended, and because what he does influences what happens to Popter and Sprout. And if I remember correctly, my original idea was to make one push Popter, jump over them to the other side, and then have him come back and jump to see like the gargoyle he is on top of them. But that's one too many steps, so I went the easy route and reimagined the whole animation in my head to have one jump up and then fall down to sit in position. And there's nothing much to say right now. I just kept working on the movement, added more frames, adjusted my timing, watching the animation play over and over again to see that things are looking fine. At this stage I'm working very rough with no details to any character. At best I add one scarf on some frames to keep the flow of it in mind. So I'm just gonna let this play out to some nice music and come back when something interesting happens. So that was the first pass of rough animation. This will be the second pass and the last one because I'm not cleaning this animation. The second pass is pretty much just drawing over everything I already did, but now adding details and building up anatomy. I honestly didn't pay much attention to making things perfect since this is just a silly animation, but I do try to keep things as consistent as I can. Sometimes I tend to start making the characters smaller or bigger with each frame, and from frame to frame you can't really notice. But once you play out the animation or look back a few frames, you can notice and I have to resize everything. But it's better for this to happen at this stage and not later, especially if you are doing a full animation with clean and colors and compositing. I've had to come back and finish other people's mistakes on our already finished animations before, and it's not fun. This part took me a bit to do. I really wanted this pose to hold because one is a show off and I thought a slow turn would look cool, so I went slowly building it up. First just anatomy, making the two extremes of the pose, and then adding all the in-betweens. Once it looks nice, I start drawing some details. Oh, and then this pose that can you imagine the amount of strength you need not only to do a one hand push-up headstand thing. But to push yourself off like that, I know these guys are cartoons and have like cartoon logic and do a lot of crazy stuff, but man. And then of course drawing something that's gonna be off camera as always, because I love doing necessary steps. With the scarves here, it's easier, and it's usually how it's done, to have that in a second layer, so one already stopped moving. Can you hear my neighbor's dogs? Shit, anyways. What was I saying? Oh yeah, with the scarfing here is easier, and it's usually how it's done, to have that in a second layer, so one already stopped moving, and that can be a freeze frame, so a frame that's not gonna change. And in another layer, you have the scarf animation. This way it's easier to edit changes to the animation if need be. Also, you don't run the risk of accidentally erasing something you shouldn't. Think that thankfully didn't happen, but I did have to resize these frames later if I remember correctly, and I was just screaming to myself, why didn't I do it in different layers? And I don't have to worry about Pop-Tart and Sprout overlaying here, because they are in different layers. With Pop-Tart there, since I already have the correct dimensions, I just needed to move one around on some places, so the contact makes sense between the two. And that's pretty much it. Then I just added flat colors. I also had to do 2 Pop-Tart layers so I could make him be behind Sprout at the start and over him later on. Oh, these are the ones I had to resize. And yep, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, the sound, I added sound to this one. Okay, hold on. Okay, real quick because it's basically 2 AM and I'm getting really hungry. So I spent an unholy amount of time listening and delighting to a bunch of whoosh sound effects. I watched a video of a guy remaking the sound of a John Wick scene and I got obsessed with sound design. This is nowhere as fancy as the guy's video, but I tried my best and I have a lot of fun doing it. So, this is my timeline. I have no idea what any of those files are, but okay, those are the squeaky sound. I think this started because I showed Elle the animation and they asked if I could add a squeaky toy noise. And how can I say no to that request? So I added this. And these are like two different noises. I spent a lot of time looking for the perfect sound. And this layer, this is one step, and this is like a bunch of steps coming closer. This is a whoosh for when he's turned around, and this is just like a landing. And then the last one, this is just another whoosh for when he goes up, and this is an extra sound for when he lands. It kinda sounds like Minecraft. Anyways, that was basically all I did. Actually, can we listen to this without the squeaky sound? Beautiful. And the final. And that's all. Bye.